Recording in progress, that's it. I am Tutur, I use pronouns they, them, and I will be facilitating this webinar. So my role will be mainly like to support you with anything to make sure that the topic is well covered. I will be sometimes inviting our speakers, Kalin and Tuulia, to speak and also cut them if necessary. And you will be able to ask some questions. There will be a Q&A at the end. And in the meantime, maybe use the chat only if you need like technical assistance or if there's something you didn't really understand. So you want to ask like rather clarification question. But I invite you to leave some of the questions that you might have for the end. And I see so many people coming right here, right now. That's really nice. I invite the people who come to open your camera. It creates a really nice atmosphere. And so this Zoom meeting is where this webinar is recorded, and later we'll eventually post it on Honesty Europe website and the website of Kalin Caring for .space. So if you don't want maybe your face appearing on the name, then you can turn off your camera or change your name. And last, practical information, we'll try to end on time in 1 hour. So that might be 7 at my clock, maybe overtiming at your clock. And we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. But after that, I will also share some like small contact info in the chat right now in case later you want to contact Tuulia or Kalin. So here in the chat, you can see the contact that you could use later. So welcome everyone again. Today's topic is we're going to talk about polyamory and actually all kinds of relationship styles. This webinar really is for everyone, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 1,000 partners, any type of commitment, everyone is welcome here. And I make this topic very important to me because I also have different relationships with different kinds of commitments. And I found that the emotional work that I've done with Radical Honesty or actually also discovering about Kalin spaces made me think a lot about like how to make those relationships nurturing and thrive and caring for me and for my partners as well. And yeah, so I'm really excited that we can talk about it actually. And yeah, I want to invite now Tuulia and Kalin for like, if you want to present yourself shortly, say who you are, what type of relationship you have, if you want to mention that and what you're doing. And yeah, so maybe Tuulia, if you want to start.
Yeah, thanks for the intro to Tutur, and thanks for all of you for being here. So I'm Tuulia. My organization is called Honesty Europe. I'm a Radical Honesty trainer and also a therapist. And I'm here kind of wearing 2 hats. One is my personal experience of my relationships and kind of drawing from that. And then the second one is what I do in the group work and couples therapy, couples counseling work. And I work a lot with different relating models with people, polyamorous, open, clear, unclear, mono, everything. And I like it. I find there's a lot of richness and also personal learning and professional learning. I'm at the moment in a monogamous relationship and have been 10 years with my partner and my husband. And we have also been open for about 2 years in our relationship. And I have had other times, I call it open, that seems to fit what I had more than polyamorous. And there were maybe at one time I had three partners. So that was one relating model that I had. And my current partner had another 1 or 2 partners beside me. So that was something that we navigated for a while with different conversations and emotions and sometimes struggles and sometimes a lot of joy as well.
Thank you, Tuulia. Kalin, do you want
Oh, and I
to?
want to apologize for my boring background. I'm in a meeting room because I need to hop on a train after this. So yeah, it's not so cool. Thanks.
Don't worry, we can work that on post-production. Kalin, do you want to say a word?
Yeah, I'm Kalin and I use they them pronouns. And I'm a non-binary intersectional emancipatory activist. I hold workshops since multiple years now and organize camps that are for self-growth, connecting to one's emotions, but also deconstructing hierarchies that we build around us. I work with grassroots groups to delve more into this topic of hierarchies. I also create workshops about polyamory, consent, and create queer rituals. I am in a polyamory relationship. I've been through different forms of relationships. I am now more than 10 years practicing some kind of non-monogamy. And I started when I was 13 years old. When I first realized that monogamy is not for me, I started telling that to each person that I would call a significant other. And through that, I really delved into different styles of practicing something outside of monogamy. And I would say that for many years, it was something that was not ethical, like it was not ethical polyamory. And from those mistakes, I learned to practice a more ethical non-monogamy style, and I would call myself an ethical polyamorous. And through that, I gained heaps of tools, experiences, and through the and through that, through those mistakes, I now support other people through counseling, relationship counseling, and creating workshops. I launched my website yesterday, so if any of you clicked on it beforehand and just saw a video, I recommend you clicking on it again at caringforspace.com and checking out the offers there. That's it from my side.
Cool. Thank you so much. And I'm very glad that you two are here in this webinar. So like the little story is I work with Tuulia after I've been on a training in radical honesty, which was a method that is really important right now in my life. And when I brought this topic of polyamory, I thought, oh, it would be so nice to invite Kalin, which is also a person who helped me to transform a lot of my relationships and my relationship with emotions as well. So I'm really happy to have you two here and excited to see what will come out of this conversation. Yeah. So for everyone, I want to share a bit of like the general plan. Right now, you'll have a first activity. Actually, I'm going to send you in some breakout rooms, and I will explain later what you're supposed to do here. It's just like some rooms where we'll try to have 2 or 3 people, maybe 3 people is ideal in every room. And I will ask you a question. So we'll come back to that very soon. And after that, we'll come back all again here in this main room. And we'll have like some questions for Kalin and Tuulia that we prepared. And after this, there will be a moment for question and answers. So again, right now, if you have any questions that pops up during this webinar, you can write it down for yourself or remember it. And then during the question and answer, it will be the nice time for actually asking your question. And maybe during the time that Tuulia and Kalin speak, the chat sometimes can be a bit overwhelming if there's so many reactions and questions. So I invite you rather to share your reactions later. And after the Q&A, we'll have a short outro. Are the breakout rooms recorded? I hear from Ali. Actually, I have no idea. It's the first time I use breakout rooms.
No. So anything you talk there won't be recorded and nobody can hear or see what you are sharing there. So that's like your private space to get into the topic.
Thank you, Tuulia, for clarifying. Yeah, so this is the general schedule, and we'll try to end in 50 minutes approximately. So now I'm going to open breakout rooms, some instruction. You will have 6 minutes to answer the following question. I will put it in the chat right now so you have it. It's easy. Say to everyone. Okay. The question is, what is your relationship style and what are the essential ingredients for nurturing and responsible relationships for you? And so I'm going to create a bunch of breakout rooms. I guess I created like a huge number of them, and we're not so many participants, like we are 30 participants. So maybe I just like need to create 10 of them. Okay, so I invite you to click right now on breakout rooms, and you should be able to join rooms of any room. And I invite you to join only the rooms from 1 to 10 because we have 30, so it should be enough. And then to make sure that there are like 3 people per room would be ideal. 2 people is also okay. And then you can each answer this question, and you have 6 minutes in total. So I invite you to do it right now.
And just tell us if you have had time finding a room for yourself, if you're not able to join, if there's any technical problem, or if you just don't feel like joining, you can talk to us here as well.
I'm on the app, on the mobile app, and I'm not sure how I enter those breakout rooms.
I can assign you. So I'll just put you to a
Yes.
room, yeah, Alex?
Thanks.
Do you get the invite now?
I don't have an invite either.
Same here.
Same here.
Same.
Okay. Was that Rob?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Doris.
And Nicholas?
You can join me to a room too. Thank you.
I'm there as well.
And Anni.
Doris, you're still here.
Oh no. There.
Ah. Doris, I also tried to move you to a room, but
Yeah, I moved you to room 4.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it? Okay. Let's try something else.
Oh no.
but room 4 disappeared. Oh my God, the technical aspects of it are much crazier than I thought.
And can someone assign Suvi?
I tried to.
Okay. I don't. Oh, there is Suvi for room 1.
Yeah.
I think Suvi disappeared already. Yeah.
Okay. You know,
Okay.
I think I maybe the timing was a bit short, and I regret that I put only 6 minutes and not more.
It's all right. Should I pause the recording for now? Maybe this conversation is. Yeah. Okay. I pause it. So guys who are watching the recording, a little pause here. It might be interesting to hear our chat, and we're not gonna share it with you. Ha.
Comment. Yeah, and maybe there were some common ingredients, so I hope that you could see this as well. And is everybody back? No. No.
I think now, just now, all the rooms are closed, so the rest of the people are here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the sharing and listening to others and what their relationship styles and good ingredients for them were. So now, Kalin and Tuulia, I offer you the space for sharing what you think about it. What ingredients you would say are the most important for you? And I don't know, Kalin, if you want to start with something.
Sure, we can go like I say one and then Tuulia say another, and we can go back and forth. For me, like a really big one is authenticity. So expressing what is going on in oneself in an honest way to another person to build connection through that authenticity. And in the authenticity, I mean also going for what you want. So expressing what you want and taking responsibility to create it.
Yeah, I like that. The honesty and asking for what you want. And for me, somehow the word freedom comes to mind. And even though, as I shared in the beginning, I am in a monogamous relationship at the moment, I do experience a lot of freedom. So that setting from me comes from my freedom, that I'm still anytime free to renegotiate or change the setting, and also the freedom in terms of I am I and you are you. We are individual human beings who choose to connect, who choose to be in this connection, and we are not kind of entangled. I choose the other person. I don't need them for my happiness. So the other one is not there, or other people are not there to fulfill what is missing. But it's my job to make sure that I'm happy and I'm fulfilled in the ways that I need. So kind of choosing to relate to other people from place of freedom and groundedness. And of course, that's not always possible to be so grounded, but taking that kind of personal responsibility, that I do my best to take care of myself without kind of making a burden on the other. And of course, the other or the others can choose to be there for me and can choose to support me, but it's not an obligation. It comes out of love and freedom and choice.
Yes, exactly. And in that, I would say like the willingness, if you are willing, adding to what you said, if you are willing, dedicating patience and time to the relationship and to what we have to unpack between each other, what kind of things we take from our households, from our socialization, and what comes because of that into our relationship. And then, do I want to work on that all with you? Do I have the time and the patience that I want to give to us, to you, to be able to process that?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And for me, this investing time in communication, and not just any communication, I think it's important to talk about daily stuff, but also going beyond that, like what emotions rise in me, what fears and worries, and maybe embarrassment, shame, anger, sadness. So kind of being willing to connect on not only like the head level, the practical talk, but also on the heart level, like what is up for me right now, and actively creating space for that. And sometimes that might mean making choices and setting priorities. Like my priority is to make sure that I share and I hear you, or the others, depending on the setting. So that kind of heart-to-heart communication that is very open and honest, and also about motivation. So if there's something difficult that I want to share, also owning up why I want to share, why is this important, so the other one really understand where I'm coming from. Like, I don't want to keep secrets from you, or I want to have deeper connection, or I want you to know me better, or something like that.
And I wanted to ask you to, on top of like those qualities that you're mentioning, so I hear this like authenticity, freedom, willingness, and like awareness about like socialization and desire to invest time or emotional awareness. I wonder if for those, and also additional that you might want to speak about, relationship styles or being in a polyamorous relationship makes a difference or not, and how.
For me, when I create workshops, I really try to be as universal as possible. And I find that regardless in what kind of relationship style, it's the values that you bring into a relationship that matter. Not so much the shape of it and what you negotiate in it, but the value of, do we value honesty? Do we value being transparent with each other and sharing something with each other? Do we want secrecy? Do we want to just share specific situations in an intimate setting, just me and another person, and then I don't share it with my other partners? For me, these values can be the things that then shape relationship profoundly. And in that, I think negotiation is key, all of that, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. For me, we are living and we are all the time creating expectation to myself, and then we project that onto others of how shall others act. And going into a relationship, for me, what polyamory is amazing is that there's not so many guidelines. You don't have so many TV shows, so many archetypes, so many figures around you. So you don't know exactly how to act. So then you can negotiate about it and create something. For me, maybe this is like a big difference between monogamy and non-monogamy, that there's so less examples. So you are the creator of what you want.
Yeah, I agree with you that the primary thing is not about the form or the style that people choose. And I would say, though, from my experience, that in a polyamorous setting or say multiple partner setting, there can be complexities added, like more emotions, more conversations, more negotiations, more time management and all that. So for me, then it's like extra important to have that time to really have space for everybody to express and everybody to be heard, and be very clear as well, as clear as one can be. Like right now, this is how I'm willing to communicate. This is how I'm willing to divide my time, and also having conversations, like if possible, everybody present. So I like that kind of openness where it's just not like one-on-one conversations in many ways, but everybody in the same room, and really, because I think that kind of real human to human connection changes everything, including like issues around jealousy or envy or I'm not good enough or whatever somebody else is prioritizing the setting. So it's kind of so much easier to deal with when there is that kind of, we are here together, we are having space for everyone to share. So for me, there is something really vital about having enough space for everyone.
Yeah, I want to react to what both of you share. Like I hear on Kalin's side, I really like what you said, that we don't have so many references and there's so much opportunity to create like what we want. And at the same time, it might also be a bit dangerous that we might also create shit and things that don't really work. And I was wondering, maybe if we go more to the like practical style, Kalin, when you are with multiple partners, what do you really implement to co-create the space together? What spaces do you open? How do you do this, really?
Mm-hmm. I think a big challenge is learning to receive a no and giving no's. And for them also having yeses and giving yeses. For me, consent and respecting boundaries is a really big topic in non-monogamy, because you create those boundaries. And the practice of receiving no's and then having tools of what to do when, okay, I propose something to someone and then I receive a no, or I want to give you a no for what you try to give to me, is still like a learning ground. There are so many tools and so many approaches. For me, then comes like grief for this no, and the openness to fulfilling, like if it's my need, the openness of the need of another person, fulfilling it in a different way, and really really respecting your longings and your wishes. It really took me a long time in being stuck in relationships that are not fitting to me, and then the more I learned how to connect with my anger and say no to things and go out of these relationships, the more doors open for me. And that's a very beautiful experience that I recommend to all of us.
Oh yeah, thank you. And I imagine, Tuulia, I don't know if you want to share a bit about like the practice that you offer, but I imagine like no's and expressing anger are very important components as well.
Yeah, so in Radical Honesty, we work with the principle that everything is welcome. So whatever is alive is welcome, and my theory is that that really creates connection and understanding. And it doesn't, of course, mean just being shitty towards the others, also owning up what I'm creating within myself. And if I'm nervous, sharing something and what is my motivation. And with that, I think it's very useful way to be like totally transparent, especially if there is many people in the relationship mix or in the connection. So there's not like secrets and hidden agendas and little gossipy things going on, rather than just like we put everything to the table and then start to relate from there with honesty and openness and vulnerable directness. So not blunt directness, but vulnerable, like this is where I'm at, and I'm nervous sharing this with you, and I worry you like them more than you like me, or I'm feeling jealous because you spend more time with the other, or whatever it is. And it's not about fixing or changing, but really having the space to express. And I think that already changes a lot, at least within me. Like, hey, I'm being really heard. I've been really seen with this. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself, and I have the space to feel my feelings, even if they're really tricky.
Yeah. I kind of want to pull a bit the string and like ask for very specific type of challenges that would mostly happen in poly context, but also in many different contexts. One type of situation that I have to deal with, for instance, in my life is like jealousy. And for instance, I want to go to event and it turns out 3 of my partners are also there. And maybe I'm traveling with somebody at this moment that I propose it. So it's kind of like one person asks if they can be prioritized, but maybe other people also have, as you say, their own agenda, their own needs, their own desires. So I really want to ask you, how do you deal with such a situation in practice and hold the space for this? Yeah. So I don't know if Kalin, you want to start, for instance.
Yes, for me, it's really important, this learning and your privilege and your power and your rank that you come in with to this learning experience. So, for example, for me, like I go to these kinds of events that you're naming with. Now I have one partner, but I have experiences of having 4 partners at a time and being all of us or a part of us in one space. And in that, what we learned is that we need, for example, pre-negotiation and also check-ins during even events like that, and evaluation and debriefing after. So if you're somewhere and you have 4 partners, maybe this is very time consuming to all the time negotiate, check in, have a space inside you for holding all of the emotions that pop in for you, for your significant others. And yes, this can be challenging, but also can be opening different possibilities than if you would go there just like YOLO and trying to juggle all of the balls at the same time, and then maybe some projections come in, expectations, hurt feelings, and so on. So this is a tool for me that is really important, the check-ins and the pre-negotiation and the aftercare.
Yeah. Tuulia, do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I like what you said, Kalin, and sometimes it's very good to clarify before an event starts, like who is coming, what each person wants, what I'm willing to give or offer and what not, so that, because it's easy to spend the whole event just processing everybody's emotions, because they can be multiple, and then you don't actually enjoy the event or even get to be in the event. So when it's possible, then just clarify. And I like the format of, for example, before going into problem solving, just having a round of 5 minutes sharing how everybody's doing, how they're feeling about this topic, really having the space to express, so that the emotions are out first, and then only after that go to like more solution oriented mode. And I think it's really different when everybody got the key emotions out and key topics, and then only after that start to fix and come with solutions. Because while very emotional and a lot of triggered stuff, then it's just not possible to find solutions. And yeah, it can get messy. One partner, many partners, life gets messy. So it's also just accepting that sometimes life is messy, and yeah, that is the beauty and the difficulty of it.
Yeah. And how I understand all of that from what you shared is just deciding to engage in polyamorous relationship, and also in any kind of relationship, is really an investment, and is something that requires a lot of time. And obviously I judge that the more partners, the more relationships I want to build, the more time I need to dedicate to this. And I kind of judged from my early poly experience that I wasn't seeing it this way, that it was like, oh, I'm just opening to this person and not really like thinking, oh, all of this needs to be done, and there are really tools to provide so that these spaces are created. Yeah, that is not just something like that's easygoing and everything will be fine and let's see along the way. And Tuulia, I read in the chat, somebody, Itai, is asking if you can repeat about vulnerable directiveness and how is it different than regular vulnerability?
Yeah, so I think I used the word blunt directness. So vulnerable directness is like, first I share how I feel about sharing something that might be a bit edgy or difficult for the others to receive. So put first like, oh, I'm nervous sharing this, I feel ashamed sharing this, I worry you might not like what I'm gonna say, and kind of having some compassion and understanding there's another human receiving this, and then going to the sharing rather than this is what I'm gonna do, or I'm angry, or whatever it is that I want to share. So this is how I see the difference, that while I share from me, I'm still consider there's another human receiving, and I'm willing to show myself in an open and vulnerable way.
Thank you. I would like now to open already a space for questions.
I will intervene then.
Yes.
I have something that I find very important that I didn't share a little bit more about. And for me, it's really, really important to notice the rank that you have in a relationship. So, for example, if I'm the center point, if I have 3 partners and all of them have only me and I have them 3, I gain a lot of responsibility by that. And also maybe a lot of privilege. We go to a festival together. I have 3 people I can lean on, and if anything challenging happens, but I have 3 people that maybe are wanting to spend time with me. And also looking at, for example, the amount of years you have with one partner and you don't have with another, but the amount of excitement a new person brings into your life, but the amount of stability brings is brought by the person you're committed and you have a long-term relationship with. There's so many different parts in polyamory to look at, and to also look, okay, how many resources do I have? I'm from Poland. My partner is from Germany. What kind of qualities does that bring into our relationship? We are both white. What kind of qualities does that bring? And we can also look at our relationship and try to deconstruct specific tools or like experience we have. So if someone is totally new to radical honesty or a different emotional sharing tool, and the person joins our polycule or something like that and is totally new, and we're all feeling really relaxed and safe with each other, and this person doesn't at all know the lingo of specific phrases, then how can we be a person that takes the hand to the other person to bring the other on the same page as we are all at? And what kind of rank, what kind of privilege hierarchy is there between us all?
Yeah. And taking responsibility for them as good as we can. Yeah. It's interesting that those things that we talk usually more like as a group context, group dynamics, they become more and more important as the number of people involved is important. Yeah. Thank you for this. So we maybe will come back again to those elements, and I do want now to open the floor for anyone who wants to ask question. You can just unmute yourself and go for it. And I would love if you can make the question really short and like kind of straight to the point. And eventually later you can also ask for more clarification if needed. And you're very welcome also still to open your camera while you do so, but you can also not do it. That's all fine. So maybe, we could have one question from somebody to start with.
I was very curious, I have a question for Kalin and for Tuulia, because Tuulia, you said you're right now in a monogamous relationship, and Kalin, you said you're usually in a more polyamorous setting, and I was wondering, why did you choose both of these options for you? Like, what's the main advantage in your opinion?
When I had the more open setting with between 5 and 6 people in the mix, I found it quite a lot of work. So there was a lot of emotions, a lot of conversation, a lot of clearing. And I remember times when all of my partners were unhappy. And there was like, oh, not only dealing with one, but dealing with many, like nobody liking some situation or choices or priorities I made. As I work with groups and I'm intensely with people, intense amounts of time, like sometimes 9 days in a row, I kind of, at this moment in my life, desire quite peaceful personal life, quite harmonious. So I'm just not wanting that kind of multiple conversation, negotiations, and drama as I had it, maybe because of my skills, maybe because of the people also that I chose to have in the mix. So for me, it seems at the moment more stabilizing and more grounding to go deeper with one person. And then also, of course, have other kind of relationships. They're just not sexual or romantic as such. So deep relationships that are offering me other inputs and needs, but they are just not on the sexual terrain. So yeah, it just gives me at the moment the level of safety and groundedness that I feel that I want in my life. And I don't know what happens next. So this is now, and I'm happy now with the setting, and I'm not kind of fixing it on stone in any way.
Thank you.
I believe I'm neurodiverse, and for me, stimulation is something I really love and sometimes really like hate. And for me, if I have more people around me that I can connect with, it's more complex. My brain is really like stimulated, and it just feeds different parts of me. And it was a huge journey to try to juggle 4 partners and different comets around me at a time. and it was very nurturing, but a lot. And then I decided, okay, I want to have now one partner that I dedicate a lot of my resources to, but we will try to look for maybe a third person to our relationship. And this is now what I'm going through and what I long for in life. And also just the picture of a tripod as a structure that is very stable is somehow appealing to me. And this is now what I try to experience in life.
Thank you for sharing.
Nice. Do you want to ask other questions, people?
Oh, and Tutur, we had that one question that we received beforehand as well.
Yeah. So let's go with this one. Yeah, so there was one person writing to us an email beforehand with the question, how can I manage my fears of not being a priority and feeling lonely if my partner wants to spend less time with me while respecting her need for time for her family, other relationships, personal growth, and exploration in our open relationship? So I wonder, yeah, Tuulia or Kalin, what you would say to this person, how to manage their fear.
Well, I would say that, yeah, I feel you, it can be quite tricky. And I would say that in general, what works for me and what I recommend to people I work with is just facing the fear, being within the fear, really bodily feeling it and reporting out loud and asking space from the other or others to really hear you on that. And then finding whatever resources you might need, like friends to support, so that you're not only relying on the partner, but there's other support networks and other fun stuff that you can kind of have a meaningful free time, even when your partner is not available or chooses not to be available. And then, of course, I think it's always good to ask, is this relationship serving me? Or what do I need to change in order to be happy? And then negotiating that if there is something that is just not really working for you. I often, when I work with couples and individuals, I ask them, like, so how much of the time are you happy and how much of it you're unhappy? And if you are a lot of the time unhappy, then I think it's important to ask yourself, like, is this serving me? And I'm not saying that breaking up is an option as a first like route, and we have limited time, so I think it's important to take care of yourself.
What works for me is picking between two directions. It's either diving deep, so also what Tuulia said, staying with the fear and maybe asking for support. Maybe a friend can be with you and you can talk to the person. Maybe you can see a different partner and talk about what you're going through in that time, or a therapist or a counseling person, someone. So trying to be held in this state that is vulnerable and maybe is caused by some past experiences, and healing, going towards healing. And the other direction could be, but it requires immense one word fell out of my mind, consciousness, to do it in a way that is supportive to you. Because we can like be in the hype of self-growth and digging into everything and diving deep, and then at some point like we don't integrate as much as we could. So maybe what our nervous system needs at that moment, or we as people, maybe we need more of a distraction. Maybe it's too destructive, this fear that we clash with. And what helped me in the moments when I was really in my reptile brain, in these deep moments of jealousy when my partner was out, was actually calming first, so somehow consciously distracting myself, either through relaxing or through dedicating a specific amount of time, like 10 minutes of watching something, and then seeing again how I am with it. Not spending the whole evening binge watching series, but doing something that is nurturing for you.
Thank you for this. We have a bit of time left, so I wonder if somebody wants to ask another question. You can just open your mic.
Yeah, I have a question. Hi, I'm Rob. Well, since I'm looking at the title of the event tonight, and it's polyamory and responsible relationships, and I wonder, do you have any sort of things you can share, sort of that you learned as like good practices, maybe that you recommend? There are some people here in the space, I believe, also that are sort of new or newish, still learning about polyamory. So what are maybe good practices about responsible relationship nurturing? Yeah, thanks.
Do you want to go, Tuulia?
Yeah, I like that question, and I have a lot of ideas. So let's see what we can fit in. So the one thing, the 5-minute sharing that I mentioned, I recommend doing that on a regular basis in a relationship, whether it's 2-way or 3-way or whatever. So really having this ongoing practice of sharing without any interruption, I think that's really vital. So your 5 minutes is your 5 minutes, no questions, no commentary, no helping, no nothing. And then learning the skill of really listening, really hearing the other one, and not having this need to fix or ask questions or interrupt. So that's one really simple and powerful practice. And I recommend people doing it at least 3 times a week, if possible. And if it's remote relationship, remote setting, then one can do it via video or even voice message. Then another one is defining what is the purpose of the relationship. And again, it doesn't matter what form it is, but really like, what am I seeking? What I'm willing to give in this relationship? What is the deep longing, the deep purpose I'm seeing here? Like both writing like the purpose statement and then talking about it, and maybe doing a joint one or maybe not. And then the values that Kalin mentioned, like what are the values we both have, and are they a match? And can we agree on some values, some practices? So not as a rule, but really as an inspiration. And for example, for me, values would be that our emotions are welcome, we celebrate diversity, we are generous with support and money, that kind of stuff. So those are the 3 things that come to my mind, and there's a lot more. And keeping open mind and curiosity, I think that's really vital. Okay, I sneak that in. Yeah.
I would respond with learning how to distinguish
Kalin,
in yourself.
I don't hear you so well. Did you change something with the mic?
I didn't, but and now? Not so good.
It's getting better.
Better.
Okay. Is distinguishing in yourself. Why am I feeling these emotions inside me? Is it something that is from the present, from the now? Like I'm sure a bunch of us knows how it is to step on a Lego, and you are just in this furious anger of what happened to my system, and then sadness comes, and then you're walking on the next day and you're fearful from that experience. And this comes and goes quite flowy, I would say. But there are these emotions in us that are very commonly rupturing, and maybe they are staying with us longer. And when you feel into them, you feel like there is some kind of root connected to this emotion, a root connected to the past. And for me, distinguishing if it's from the present or from the past was a big game changer, as also distinguishing, is it from me being sensory overstimulated or understimulated? So this, and also private growth, like personal growth, combined with and in the balance with growing with other people. Is it if it's in a therapist setting, or if it's in a group circle or a collective or a movement or something, that you have other people that can mirror you and mirror your behavior, because we're very limited of what we can observe, especially in relationships. When we're in a collusion and we're like both active, or all of us are active, we're like these horses that have these, I don't know, these constrictions on our eyes. And then when we have a person who is holding space for us, this is the person who sees the whole picture and can reflect and mirror whatever is happening and give you deep understanding of what is happening.
Thank you very much. I see many other questions in the chat, and I don't want to do this, but I also think we don't really have the time for answering all of these. So maybe I will just write them down for somewhere and see if in the follow-up email there can be some answers to those questions, so that I will send you later like some email after this webinar, and maybe eventually write something about it. I will check with Tuulia and Kalin. Yeah. So I'm sorry that this Q&A is so small, and at the same time, I really want us to end up on time. And I want to kind of also, wrap up some of the things that were said, because I think it's kind of useful. Like at first, when we talked about like the most important ingredients, there was really a lot of stuff connected to authenticity, emotional awareness, the capacity to really share from a vulnerable point of view. And I think this has come out like throughout the whole webinar, that it's about noticing emotion. Kalin, you were just saying, also making the distinction between what really is coming from the past, so kind of like traumas, and what is really more into the present. And this is an ongoing path that we can all do on our own when we have the privilege, the access to it sometimes. I also like that we uncovered a bit more of like the group dynamic stuff, that sometimes there's like different rank privileges when we want to create space where people are meeting each other. It's really important to like create spaces beforehand where we talk about this, we negotiate, different values, needs, agreements, boundaries. And of course, I also want to like to say, I heard you a lot talking about saying no, expressing anger, not staying in a relationship that doesn't work. So I think this also ties also back to like some of the questions that are asked in the chat. And I mean, there's much more to it with like the regulation of the nervous system, the 5-minute check-ins that we can do many times. So all of this takes really like is an investment. And I believe relationships take time, and the more people we are, of course, the more it takes. Yeah. Yes, I want to bring a closure and say thank you everyone for coming, and thank you Tuulia, thank you Kalin for speaking in this webinar. And I want to say this was just an introductory webinar to all of the practices, workshops that both Tuulia and Kalin are offering. And I'm here mostly because I have experience working with them, being a participant to their spaces. I started doing a lot of emotional work, first with Kalin in some eco-village in Poland, and like really discovering what anger is, what emotions are for me, and doing all of these distinctions that are really helpful today in my relationships. And then with Radical Honesty also, I've been going to some training with Tuulia recently in Tenerife, like the 8 days training of radical honesty, where there's emotional work and like group work, but also much more to it in life stories and like kind of digging in really the personal stories. So I will share with you a message in the chat so that if you want, you can discover a bit more about their work and what you can do with this. And I wonder if Kalin and then Tuulia, you want to share like a bit of like, how can people reach out to you? What do you offer? Eventually, how could people get a follow-up on like this webinar?
I would really love answering all of your questions. Polyamory and this like alive connectedness with between people and other beings is something that is making me feel alive and wanting to create spaces and hold workshops. And I would really enjoy if any of you, like if you feel resonance with what I was saying and you find it valuable and you would like a one-on-one session with me or a polyamory group session, a counseling session, or you would like to host a workshop that in your town or online. I'm really willing to receive all types of messages from you on Telegram or directly booking me on my Tidycal that is linked in the chat right now. Thank you all for coming here. It was really energizing for me. I will take your amazing faces after the call and try to integrate this experience.
Yeah, thanks for doing this with me, Kalin, and you, Tutur. I like this experience, and of course, we were not sure how everything is going to turn out, and I'm personally pleased. And one thing I want to say is that, in my opinion and experience, the biggest healing does happen in close relationships. So I think there's so much opportunity, however you relate, when you relate like heart open and with curiosity. What I offer, and we'll put it in the follow-up message to you as well. We have a lot of honesty retreats. Next one coming up end of June. We have a few more spots. It's here in Finland in a beautiful forest. And then 2 other things that might be very interesting is couples retreat, which is also open to triples and other forms, where we really like focus on the connection and clarity and agreements and purpose and so on. And then we have conscious touch retreat, which is kind of tantric style, so connection with touch as well. And then I do couples counseling and therapy, and also other forms of relating, and also non romantic stuff like parent, adult, children facilitation. So yeah, you can find, I think there's my email address, feel free to email, and then you see the website as well. And I also posted the online group that is with weekly questions, so that might be a nice kick to explore different topics. Thanks for being here.
And we can also use the Facebook group actually for the questions that you might have. If you join the Facebook group of Honesty Europe community, then you can ask actually those questions and even more questions that you might have. And we'll see also how we can combine it with Kalin. And I want to say there are going to be more webinars. The next ones are going to be in September, October, November, December, every first Tuesday of the month. So if you also wanted to hear about it, you can subscribe to one newsletter or just on the website Honesty Europe, or just join the Facebook group. So that was my last bit of information, so that you also join the next ones. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks, bye.
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 Thank you.
And if you have any
for
feedback,
coming.
feel free to send that as well. Ciao, ciao.
Nice. And let's stop the recording now.